Peter Hill Explains, where I invite you to join the science teaching conversation with me about my RSL, a podcast while I'm driving back up. I'll give you a little bit of a story of what I'm doing during this podcast and get a container within a container. But this podcast is about my membership, my quiet, low-key membership of something called the Returned Servicemen's League, which is where if you've been in the Army or various Navy or Air Force or any of the services for a time, you can join it. So it's a organisation. I think it really began after World War I with all the returning soldiers, just a sort of a support group. And over the years we've had other wars, other people joining it, and it's sort of evolved. And I suppose my membership in it marks a particular point in its evolution. So perhaps wouldn't have had someone like me just quietly in the organisation, no fuss, no bother. I'm just quietly there in the organisation. I suppose what I can do is lend a helping hand and set of ears, a set of a few thoughts, and occasionally a bit of legwork and effort for anything that's worthwhile with it. So I'm just in my car going. So I'll give this story here. There's a cop car coming up. That's good. Okay. Yeah, I'm in my car doing a podcast. I'll give an explanation of that. But I'm for people who've listened to the last podcast, I think it was about Rocky Point mulch that I bought especially for the rabbit. And it was sold. I got home. There's no discussion. I have no ability to sell anything. Immediately I bought the wrong thing. A phone call to the produce place there and then, can we change it? And that's the end of the discussion. And here I am next day driving up with it, and really I'm not all that much plussed. So essentially the story is our little rabbit had mites, and there's a mite thing you do and there's a procedure you do. And so these are little, I suppose, 8-legged things which live off, everyone's got mites, skin mites, but in a rabbit it's got little mites going on, and it's feeding off the external parts of the rabbit and makes them itchy, not so happy. But it's part of extreme rabbit care that you ensure your rabbit doesn't have mites, and so all its beddings has to be chucked out. And I was sent to go out and buy new bedding. Australia's in the middle of a drought crisis, so there's just simply no big bales of hay around the place. And so it just happened that this person saying, look, here's a new product, and it's really good. I don't know whether it is good, but it's got this lemongrass smell and it actually repels the mites, and it's actually much better for rabbits, etc. All the breeders are using it. So, okay, I'll buy that one, but be warned, it might be the wrong decision. So they're all warned it's the wrong decision. I came back and instantly there's no discussion or anything. I'm back in the car driving back. That's here, and on previous episodes you'll hear about Sun Valley. I'm observing all the speed limits. So I've driven from the village of Glenbrook up to Blackstone here. Now the overall story is, look, how come I'm podcasting in the car? What's going on here? Well, I've got to do cardiac rehabilitation. I've got to give you that story as well. I've got to do cardiac rehabilitation and be able to, from a very low point, get back up to being able to teach in front of people, give coherent discussion, talking, interact with people, deal with complex things. So being able to teach and drive to speak and drive at the same time is pretty much similar to teaching, in that you have to deliver your material but also have an eye on the class for people who are not paying attention, or someone who might be playing with their mobile phone. You can't just stop the lesson and say, oh, stop the mobile. You just go over and stand behind them and they put the mobile phone away, or whatever the case is. And so in order to get that up, as a robotics scientist, I've developed things that just cut down the number of steps between podcasting, the place where you podcasting, and the production of the podcast. And there's a little bit more. There's more to it than just uploading it. It's producing it, automatically checking the volume, putting music on it, putting it in various formats, putting pictures on the side of it, putting it in a blog, putting it cross-reference, making sure that it automatically produces multiple choice with it, making sure that it produces a scrambled word with it, and getting towards it's integrated into an education app. So you need all that sort of thing. So I've just been working on that. So that means that when I was sitting down just grab a few minutes to do a podcast from I don't know, I'm doing a podcast on the Japanese, or reading the diary or the story reconstruction of the Japanese attack on the Australians at Singapore. Massive victory for the Japanese. But I was sitting down there and they said, up you go, you can't do that, we've got things to do. For instance, you have to swap the bail that you incorrectly bought, go out and do that, make sure that's done before we go out. We're relying on you to do that. You can't do a podcast. So, anyways, I complete that off and then start on another point. Now, what I was going to say is one of the topics, just off the top of my head, I thought, well, I'll do a podcast on my return service leave, and I go through the various stories of it. So it's one of these things that return services league, if you had to ask what it did, people from the outside would say, well, look, it looks after war memorials and organises national remembrance days, and that's one aspect of it. And then a few other people would say, well, it actually looks after veterans and deals with the issues of their complex lives. So there's complex lives, so you've got to get back into work. You've got to make sense of a external world, or presenting Australia to the world in an external rule set. And you come back, and that rule set is different from what you projected. It's profoundly dislocating, and so there's that role there. But for me, it was not just that I just saw them as the few people I did meet. I thought, oh, you're not very complex. There's nothing very complex going on here. Oh dear. There's nothing very complex going on here, and I'm okay, continuing my podcast. I had to stop there to actually drop off at the feed place, and what I'll do is, I was talking about the sort of meeting people, the RSL being just fairly normal, quiet, honourable, uncomplicated people just doing their job. So there was nothing complex about them. And essentially I said, they said, I chatted with them. Yeah, I had spent a bit of time only in the Citizens Military Force. Okay, this is the militia. That's where you have your uniform, and there's all the military law and stuff. Like, you can go out on military camps for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, once or twice a year. Year on the annual camp, and a few training courses. You go on 2-week training courses. I can't believe they're 2 weeks, blood oath. And so they said, look, you could join, why don't you? And I thought, well, there's no reason why not to. And there it was, sort of very low key. and I sort of see myself more as a roadie there. But let's get back onto the other story of this hay. Now I have got swapped the lemongrass hay, the lemongrass mulch, and for this oaten hay. And I now have learnt a little bit more that oaten hay is food and the other hay is bedding. There's a difference that you just wouldn't put oaten hay, large amounts of oaten hay in as a bedding for it. So it's expensive use. So the hay is normal, oaten hay is more expensive, and that the hay as bedding, the oaten hay is more for feed, and of course that's the hay that's running out. We still have hay here, but we're running out of oaten hay, so they've just got in some more oaten hay. So I'm just going to have to wait here because there's this pretty amazing Great Western Highway with lots and lots of buses and you go, you beaut. Okay, just braking the traffic, celebrate like Jesus. Okay. And so I explained, look, I got it home, it was just one look, one phone call, nothing was communicated to me, I just have to go off and do it. And so what's happened is, in the process, I said, you weren't just, I like the sales pitch, was it actually true? Yes, it is true that this thing is scientifically proven, the smell, etc., is a better quality, longer lasting bedding. You use less of it and it has a better effect on the animals. We found that. And also, but here, we'll swap for you, no worries. So I'm sort of in the end, the process of just quietly going around doing as I'm told. I'm finding out about different types of hay. That there is a different type of hay, and that there's food and bedding hay, they're separate, and that indeed this product is out there and does exist. Now, what happens, so this is similar in so many different fields. I'm core, let's say, quantum physicist, and that's the core specialty. Chemistry is what I'm interested in. But as I'm just mucking around, doing education, or I pick up, this is the way that you should be educated. I'm not an expert, but this is what the logic says you should do. Or I just happen to have heart disease and stuff like that. Rehabilitating, or what exactly do you need to rehabilitate? Well, you need to do this. Okay, I do it. So it's just a natural thing. It's sort of similar to the RSL. Getting back onto it, it seems. I'm sort of committed to helping people in their complex journey, their complex life journey. So no person has a set life journey. Well, a couple of people believe they have, and that everyone should conform to a particular behaviour pattern so they can have the life that behaviour pattern. Sort of just absolute madness. So a lot of life, you've just got to be low key. You've just got to turn up. You've just got to roll up your sleeves and get things done. Now, there's lots of things. The RSL's an empathy organisation. I'm an empathy type of person. I'm not necessarily in your face, trying to get things done. And it's a remembrance organisation, which it's not that you should remember. It's the quality of your remembering is pretty much the quality of your society. So if you remember a fake history, which is picked out of telly, you're just going to live a fake life. It's and a lot of commercial stuff is you're doing that, forget that product, forget what you're doing, and have this new behaviour. And very soon, people don't have this balance of remembering. They're not remembering things, living in the past and being boring at parties, but they're picking up the best qualities of their past life. It's sort of treat memories or traditions as a product. It's either makes the grade or it's up it's quality or it's not quality. That it's sort of like picking up a brand of biscuit, to get across. Whereas memories are far more complex than this, and it sort of means that, in essence, you look at all these people, guys and girls, trying to in the RSL, and they are actually what's it? They're simple, honourable, sensible. When I say honourable, they have a sense of, I don't know, I think honour is the word, but it's not honour in terms of the Americans with the flag going up. It's as in what is fitting to act for civil society. It's not that sort of, the American Marine with the and feeling really proud, that type of honour, or the my duty is my honour, or my honour is my duty, or something. I don't actually mean that by that definition of honour, but these are honourable people. Sort of, well, they might be honest or dishonest, or I want to be honest and honourable, linked together. And so it's sort of, it's one of these things. As you come across, it's the quality of remembrance. And one of the things you do when you read histories is that when you have an organisation, a group which isn't connected into society, isn't linked across, it becomes insular. And so, in a very much sense, connecting this back into society sort of stabilises the entire process. So it's got a role of ensuring the quality of remembrance, the health of healthy remembering. I think that might be one of the words, and it's also got a sort of vital role. It's like one of these organs that they've discovered inside the human body, and they say, what was it? Oh, that's what it does. Oh, it's not necessarily vital, but it's there for a reason. So the RSL there is actually there for a reason, but they're not sort of urgent reasons, but they do provide a very sort of stabilising role of cross-fertilising things. Now, so one of the things that I think is, I'm coming to the end of this, coming back home, having done my duty of getting I'm very honourable. I've actually, without question, if the commander said, I've got to get Odenhay, I've got Odenhay, without question. So that's been done. So the RSL has these qualities, but they're not necessarily qualities that you get really. They're not qualities that you actually say, oh look, I'm an RSL member and therefore this happens. So like, I'm not a member of the Labour Party or the Liberal Party, or not a policeman or something like that. It's not like that. It's got that overall quality. Now, one of the things I want to say before I get home is sort of consider you this. In the Memorial Day, they've got people laying wreaths from different organisations. What they do is they put a wreath, but they also have a school book for a local school library to come up, and or a charity thing is actually with the wreath. And so this is, I don't know where it's come from. It may have come from within the RSL, or it's come within society. This is evolving, really connecting with the actual long-range health, civic health aspect of the RSL, of this entire process, and saying, well, somehow this makes sense. Overseas, they've all these complicated ceremonies and pomp, and we have that as well, obviously. But at the end of it, the actual citizens have actually made some sort of connection between the investment that these people have done, or the actual, not the investment, but the significance of the investment. That's a very subtle difference. And for them, the way that they express it is by when they do the remembrance, they put a little school book for the school library, any school library, in the reef, and going forward. And in a sense, that's a complicated way of doing things, but it's part of the entire thing. Like the RSL is not something that you put on a ledger and say, oh, tick, that's it. I'm going to buy this type of petrol, or I'm going to, I don't know, do a particular thing for a set of commercial reasons. It's not like that, and because it's not like that, there's no right or wrong. And with the actual members that need different types of support, there's no right and wrong. We're just there to support you. And with the community, there's not necessarily a right or a wrong in what you're doing, as long as the actual theory is in good heart, in good spirit, in good faith, that you want to do this and it makes sense to you and it fits together in a way. Yeah, that's it. So how can I write a theory of connecting the two things together? People putting school books on wreaths, and it doesn't quite make sense. And obviously it also doesn't quite make sense that I'm there supporting you or reading things. It doesn't make sense, but then that's how it does make sense. So that's a sort of complicated way of saying it. So thanks a lot for listening, and that's my RSL. Another podcast, another story comes to a close. It's been a pleasure sharing this moment in time with you. May you discover truly amazing things, understand them, and tell others. Thanks for listening.